The Marvel Universe is being judged, and nearly every superhero and person that you know in that universe has been killed. The X-Men and the Eternals went to war, and in order to counteract that war, the Avengers awoke their celestial headquarters. The Celestial then became a god and decided to judge all of the Marvel Universe for their deeds. It then deemed them unworthy and nuked most of them. Now, the last remaining superheroes are trying to distract the Celestial, while Tony Stark leads a team to go inside of the Celestial's body and try to figure out how they can stop it from killing off the last of humanity. This is Avengers versus X-Men versus Eternals, and this is going to be A.X.E Avengers, A.X.E X-Men, and A.X.E Eternals, and A.X.E issue 6, concluding the entire series. Where you're at is actually Comicstorian. I bring you audio dramas of everything going on in the world of comic books, and today is going to be this story. Now let's go ahead and jump into the conclusion of the A.X.E event. The world has been judged. It has been found lacking, and while most of the world sinks into despair, there is a small group of heroes doing what they can to try and stop the progenitor from carrying out his sentence. After sacrificing many friends, Tony Stark has now led a small group into the inner workings of the progenitor in an attempt to destroy it from the inside out by striking its one weakness, the Destruct Node. They all climb into the newly formed god, the god created by Tony and the Avengers and the Eternals, to try and stop this war, only for it to decide to judge all of humanity. But as they go deeper, Tony is grabbed and thrown into his own judgment to see if he can pass. As he slips into it, he is in a world where he is accused of killing each of his friends in his life with his machines. Recent deaths, long ago deaths, all blamed upon Tony, until he is eventually shown his own parents' death, where his father tells him that there was nothing that he could have done to prevent it. As this judgment from the god comes to an end, Tony gasps, calling out for his father, breaking free from the green discs, and Cersei asks if everything's all right. They thought they lost him, but he takes a deep breath, telling him that he's okay. He just needed to catch his breath. It was a lot. Cersei looks closer at the tears, telling him, "You poor man, it was torturing you." And Tony smiles. "Yes, no, Wes, my dad. He said that I was all he could have hoped for." Mr. Sinister chimes in. "Oh, that's a relief. The world is ending, but thankfully, Tony made up with his mean old daddy." Tony gets up, telling him, "No, you idiot. Don't you get it? It was testing me. And if it was testing me, it's still testing us. And if it's still testing us, we can pass. We can all pass. We can save everyone." But after Tony's judgment, the group continues to maneuver their way through the progenitor in order to reach the Destruct Node, fighting the cosmic god's antibodies with every turn. But as they arrive upon the god's heart, or at least the thing that is monitoring the energy within the progenitor's body, it's Jean Grey who is attacked and judged roughly. She flashes back to the first day at Xavier's school, with the professor welcoming her to Xavier's School for the Gifted. She begins to relive her past sins, from becoming the Phoenix to the Dark Phoenix to killing her friends to fighting those around her. She tries to fight against it, but in the end, the progenitor just informs her, "You are the Phoenix, now and forever." And with that, she snaps back to reality. Moments later, outside of the progenitor's mind, she begins to cry, with Tony asking how did it go. "Please be good crying, please be..." But Jean says she failed. Tony yells out, "Damn it," and Wolverine tells him, "Don't you start. You have no idea what she's been through." And Ajax says that that is correct. She was protecting them from the engine plasma while debating with her god. Pass or fail, she is a significant being and deserves respect. Jean stops, still crying. "Do I? Whatever I do, it's never enough." And Wolverine helps her up. "The god who fails you and passes me is no god at all. Anything it tells you is wrong." And for a moment, she smiles, hugging him, telling him that he's too good to her. But that moment is short-lived as more antibodies begin to attack. However, the Horde is eviscerated as Jean unleashes her power, stating that destroying a world is unforgivable. How dare this Celestial? She will annihilate the hypocrite. She floats up, with Cersei stating that she seems to be out of sorts. Is there anything that we can do? And Wolverine tells her to just stay back and let Jean Grey work. She was always Chuck's star pupil. She's not used to failing tests. But as Jean continues to annihilate any of the incoming antibodies, Tony says that he thought that she wasn't the Phoenix anymore. Wolverine tells him that it's still Jean. She just has to work some things out. So the team reaches the next room, with Cersei commenting that these constructs are starting to rub up against their first principle. They won't be able to fight unless Jean Grey blocks it. The first principle prevents the Eternals from harming their own creator, their god. Jean needs to shut down their firewall so that they can actually fight. So Jean tells the Eternals to bypass the first principle, battling against their own creator. But as they do, Tony tells Cersei that he doesn't get it. He understands why everyone here is fighting except for her. She says, well, he did have her friends beat her up and kidnap her, remember? And Tony says that she's deflecting. She knows what he means. She says that she's here to represent the Eternals. Ajax and Makkari are priests and not entirely able to be trusted. So Tony asks, why would they trust her? Cersei failed her test. Why? So she remembers back to what she was judged for. When they discovered that in order for an Eternal to be revived from the dead, a human must die, and how she didn't tell anyone, and she was harshly judged for it. But then we cut over to Ajax, the priest of the Celestial, and we have a debate over freedom. How the Eternals are being judged even though they are beings incapable of breaking their word to their god and working against him. They don't have true freedom. They've never had freedom. The progenitor in her mind informs her that he will reactivate the firewall that prevents the Eternals from fighting against him, reverting what Jean Grey did. But in her final moments, she will have true freedom, whatever that means. So everything begins to fade away, and Jean asks if Ajax knows which way to go. And Ajax says that she does. It's this shaft, it will take them there. Tony asks if she's sure, but she tells him no. Of course she isn't, but she has faith. But now with the destruction of the world unfolding, some people have taken to just taking in what's about to happen. As Jada, the woman that Cap shared a cup of coffee with, sits looking up at the end of the world, she notices a yellow light shine behind her. She looks back up and Captain America reaches out of a portal telling her, "Get in, now!" Jada looks up asking, why did he come back for her? Cap says no. They came back for everyone. The Eternals opened their transport nodes all over Earth. They can use their cities as shelters until they win this. Meanwhile, back with Nightcrawler, Star Fox asks how things are going. And Nightcrawler tells him that Phastos is resetting the machine to give them time. But though they are routing everything to try and avoid the machine self-destructing, they have about another 12 hours. Hell, maybe another day. The Infiltrators will have more time than they could hope for. But Cap steps in, stating that it must change their tactics. The progenitor listens in, stating, "Once more, the man in the flag is correct. I have much of Tony Stark within me. I am an engineer. I believe in efficiency. I should be able to simply make the Earth explode. It was designed as such. Instead, the reality loom that lies in the heart of the machine that is the Earth is kept out of reach. I call, but it does not answer. So I must be more direct. Because while an engineer may wish to be efficient, a god needs not be." With a wave of his hand, the progenitor creates a split in the Earth, giving him a direct path down to the planet's core. Star Fox watches the reading, stating that he doesn't know what to do. A single hit, and the progenitor will win. We don't have 12 hours or a day. Nightcrawler tells him that he is sorry to say this, but this isn't the situation that we can hug out. We fight! And Cap tells him, "You're right, every minute counts." Inside of the progenitor, the infiltration team continues to fight their way to the destruction node, but Makkari begins to notice something. Telepathically, Ajax agrees. When they passed through the last chamber, their god temporarily deactivated their protocols and resealed their firewalls. The mutants can no longer control them, at least not swiftly. For now, they are free to act however they wish. Cersei says that this is terribly bad timing to get exactly what they always wanted, right? Soon, everyone walks into the wide open room with a statue of the progenitor before them. Tony walks closer, waving his hand, stating that he isn't sure that it can see them here. And Jean focuses, stating that it means the distraction outside is working, that this is their chance. Her psychic totality will blow this sky high. Goodbye, everyone. If it explodes, hopefully the 5 are still active and can bring us back. But before Jean can unleash her power, Ajax reaches for her mace and strikes Jean from behind. Meanwhile, outside in the world, the progenitor continues his march towards the reality loom, but suddenly Nightcrawler teleports Cap to him. Cap yells that it's not too late to stop, that he can surrender. "This is your last warning." The progenitor looks at him. You cannot stop me. I need but breathe and you become a thin mist of red. Yeah, we can't stop you, but we can distract you. Just then, a mangled and cobbled together Hex descends on the progenitor, delivering a powerful blow, one that is strong enough to bring him to his knees. Back inside, Jean gets to her feet, telling Ajax to not interfere, but Ajax says of course she is swift to kill. Death is meaningless to the mutants. If they survive, they'll all be returned. They will inherit the Earth, but humanity dies. Tony then says that she is right. We end this and all those billions are still dead. Jean bleakly says, maybe we can't save everyone. Maybe we can. We can at least try. What's the other option? Ajax says that the other option would be to convince the progenitor that its judgment is flawed, that this is still a test. Psychically, Jean tells Sinister to do it, and with a quick spin, Sinister shoots Ajax down. Jean then walks back towards the statue, stating that there is no time. She doesn't care about maybes anymore. They have to save who they can before they lose everyone. Now! The statue knocks Jean away, and the progenitor says, of course, this is a test, which you have failed! I was questioning myself, and I have learned that you do deserve to die. You remain creatures solely guided by self-interest. Mutants would kill me, so you have less stakes. Some of your numbers would cheer as loudly as the humans cheered their deaths. Those who hate you stand with you only because there is no other option. If there was, they would take it, and then Eternals, even when free, prove they cannot change. Cersei says, oh hell, machine, broadcast me, snap, snap. Her voice is carried to everyone around the world as she tells them that she has a message. Yes, she knows it's terrible timing, but time is running out. Her name is Cersei of the Eternals, and she has something to tell them. The Eternals' immortality comes at a cost. Every time that they die, one of the humans dies to bring them back. They have used the humans as fuel for 1,000,000 years. They try to be angels, but they have a vampire's heart, and they do not choose to do this, but they do choose to not tell them. She has lied and manipulated good-hearted people to keep the secret, and she regrets that. She failed her test because she did so. She shouldn't have hidden her judgment from them. By doing so, she enraged this beastly star god. She should have accepted their judgment, not his. All of them as Eternals should, just as they wish. The progenitor listens to humanity, their thoughts all becoming focused on one thing. Cersei should die. And she turns. See? They can change! But the progenitor stops her. Eternals have never died until now. With a wave of his hand, Cersei is destroyed. Tony shouts, you cut her off! But she was right. If an Eternal could change, any of us can. This proves nothing. It merely shows another way that you all deserve to die. Yes, perhaps we do, Ajax says. But do you deserve to kill us? You said this is all a test. It is, but also for you. We wanted a better god. You do this and you fail. Jean walks up. I killed a planet and you failed me for it. You said that I could never come back from that. Whoever I was then, I was out of control. You're doing this with a cold heart. Once you're done, it's done. You will have to live with that, can you? The progenitor pauses for a moment. It does not matter if I stop. Less than 1 billion still live. It is done. Bull! That doesn't work. You passed me for whatever lunatic reason. You still have me in there in some messed up way. And I'm sometimes out of my depth. Sure, but I try to make amends. So what can you do? Do that! Don't do this! The progenitor says that it could destroy him, and Tony tells him that's the deal, right? You do it every day and every night. If someone as big as a mess as me can be a hero, anyone can. That's what being a hero is all about. In that moment, the progenitor begins to think to himself, what sort of god would I be if I vacillated? Perhaps not a god at all. But I am certainly akin to a god in many ways. A god is omnipotent. I do remember where everything was before I tore it apart. I can put things back into place. So am I a god? That would mean that my judgment is flawless. But see, if I was truly omnipotent, I would be without limits. I am not, clearly. I am not a god. I can make mistakes and I can make amends. So I will put things back to where they were before my judgment, whatever it costs me. As everything turns to white, the progenitor nails down, stating that he has given up everything to save everyone. She is my make. Am I a worthy god? Ajax stares at him. As hard as it is, she gives him a thumbs down, saying no. You are correct. I ask of you this. Be better. In a flash, everything returns as it was before the judgment. Tony scans the world, stating that he is getting signals from all over the world. Uranus' damage is still there. The eternal war scares are still there, but billions are breathing again. As everyone looks around, they ask, where is Ajax and Cersei? And then a voice tells them, it removed its own judgment. And everyone turns to see Ajax, imbued with the power of the progenitor, floating before them. Humanity wished Cersei dead, so she is. She is a martyr for our new church. She bought us a chance of redemption for the fallen people. Makari motions, asking if that is Ajax, and she says in part, she is now Ajax Celestia. Once eternal, ever eternal, she is their new god. She will strive to be worthy of them, if they strive to be worthy of her. As the world mended, there was a complete restructure of the Eternals. Starfox gave up being Prime Eternal to Zuros, who then offered the mutants a treaty of alliance to make them an offering just as they unleashed Uranus on them for an hour. They can now unleash Uranus as they see fit. Druid is sentenced to serve his time, right beside Uranus, who already has plans for him. As for the mutants, they realize that their power to bring people back to life is a powerful thing, which is why Jean founded the Phoenix Foundation. It is something independent from Krakoa, who will be selecting those who receive this gift. It will prioritize the vulnerable, the weak, the poor, and those whom the world has abandoned. But as the day comes to an end, Cap takes off his costume and returns to New York, with Jada asking what is this about. He sits beside her, stating that he owed her a cup of coffee. How is she doing now? She tells him worse and better, better and worse, but this doesn't prove anything. Cap says yeah, he knows. She was right. Maybe it was right. It's not a good world, but you never know. Now, overall, I really enjoyed this storyline. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it's great to live in the moment of seeing, like, how they're dealing with the end of the entire universe. Normally, these events don't get to this big of a scale, where, now, we all knew they were all going to come back towards the end of it, which was kind of the sad part, but it was still an awesome event to see take place. If you guys enjoyed this, and you want to see some of the spin-off issues, like Spider-Man dealing with the resurrection of the original Gwen Stacy and stuff like that, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments down below, Benny, I gotta see that Spider-Man issue and all the other ones. I really appreciate all of your guys' continued support over here at the Comicstorian channel, and if you keep supporting us, we'll stick around for as long as we can. Thank you, and I'll see you next time right here at Comicstorian.